All right, how are we doing, my Silver Civic followers? So, I did not change the starter. The starter has been fine since that last two-part series that I made a couple months back. It hasn't acted up. Maybe the weather has gotten warmer and the solenoids freed itself up completely, or something else, but I do have the starter. It's ready to go in at any time. I kind of do want to wait until something does go wrong so that you guys can have a diagnosis point, but it pretty much is going to come down to when I have time to swap it in. So we won't get into that too much. Other things, so you guys see how the oil thing flashes all the time. So here, just to show you guys, I got the old starter in there and everything is see, started up perfect. That was the first start of the day. Now you see my minus 1254 kilometers. This is one reason I do 2 oil changes a year on each of these Civics. Okay, I mean the black one runs a little more, so that sees probably 3 to 4 oil changes a year. But this one is not driven too much, so it gets beginning of winter oil change and after winter oil change. This year I have really slacked on it. You can see we're almost at the end of June, and the point is though, the oil I use, the Mobil 1 full synthetic with a brand new Honda oil filter, Mobil 1 calls it a 16,000 kilometer oil filter, which I don't believe in, but I do that at 5,000 kilometers. That's what it usually turns out to. That's why this car is so healthy and this Honda engine will run almost forever. But let me break fact to you, even a Honda can blow a motor, okay? So don't put conventional and then run into one of these 15,000 kilometer situations. That's not what's happened here. Right now I'm probably at like 7 to 8K, right? So this needs an oil service. I got to change the tires over. And if I do have the patience and time, which I really do want to do, because the video that I've recommended before is decent for the starter replacement, you can get by with it, but the angles are really hard for the starter video. So I don't know, maybe I'll just install it. All right, I'm not gonna keep rambling. What else is there? The power steering pump whine. If you guys remember, see, the power steering is perfect, but in the garage I did go to Honda right when I was making those series. Remember the power steering wine series? And I bought 2 small bottles of Honda specific power steering fluid, okay? And I have been topping it off. It is still leaking. It doesn't whine, but there is a leak in the system somewhere. So as long as this car sounds decent, it sounds like a brand new Honda Civic, no weird exhaust leaks, no nothing, we're gonna keep running it. And yeah, but do have that power steering fluid and check it from time to time so that that sound doesn't come back, and so that you can stay on top of it. Because as long as I fill up, I don't know, right now I'm filling up maybe 200 milliliters every month and a half, which is next to nothing. Like, that's not even difficult maintenance, okay? A steering rack is a far bigger job and more, or steering pump. Just getting into that kind of stuff starts becoming expensive on these cars. Now, before I go into my final technical point, which will come back to me in a second, values for these cars have been skyrocketing here in Canada, at least. These things are like, I could sell this for like 6 grand, 7 grand now. It's wild. These used to be like $3,000 cars. So I feel for those of you that have to buy them, but for those of you that do have them, keep them and take care of them, because people are going to be running after these things soon because of how good they are. Yes, and the final point that I really want to make here, the suspension arms, okay? So, if you guys will remember that very long, boring series, which I hope helped at least 2 or 3 of you, which is like a bunch of hour-and-a-half videos of me struggling with control arm bolts, I put in aftermarket arms. I can't remember what brand they were, but recently, for the longest time, it's been making little click-clack, but just like a bad car with bad ball joints kind of click-clack. Sorry, bad bushings on control arms kind of click-clack sound. So nothing major. But recently, what I figured out was that, yeah, okay, so I've been driving like that perfectly, went fine through the winter, all that. Then I got under the car and I checked every bolt and I was like, okay, did I mess something up? Did some bolt back out? No, nothing. Even on the sway bar, that if those of you that actually watched that, it was rusted, so we didn't remove the sway bar. But I did scathe the part where the links go onto the sway bar, okay, on the driver's side. And that loosened up one time, and I tightened it. So this whole time I had been going on thinking, okay, maybe it was my mistake, and that one bolt was not tight against the sway bar. When like I said, I recently checked it like last week, and it was completely tight. Even the one that I had scathed, because I tightened it a little bit more, that one was perfectly fine. So there was absolutely zero loose bolts down there. Everything had been torqued properly, and that's it. I mean, it's just the aftermarket bushings that are making annoying sounds. And I mean, driving around like this with this camera is not going to do it justice by like all the other sounds that you're going to hear. It's not major, it's not bad. Once you know what it is, I could care less for it. But the stock control arms, after 15, 16, 17 years, still were not making those sounds. So if you guys will remember, my problem was a combination of my old suspension and the new arms and doing them at different times. And I have the old arms back on. These are just the 17-year-old, sorry, not old arms. I have the old strut towers on. Okay, the strut towers. You guys remember that series if you watched it when I said old struts help more. Go watch that video if you haven't seen it. I'll link it here for those of you that want to watch it. But that's what we are. We're on old struts and new aftermarket lower control arms. So, and like I said in some of those videos, control arms from Honda were like almost nearing $1,000. But if I could go back, I swear to you, I would start buying dealer parts while they're still available. Not that anything's gonna go NLA for this car soon, anytime soon, but I would have bought those. I would have bought the whole suspension from Honda, because it's almost worth it now. Like with the new cars that are coming out, now I'm not saying these cars are gonna rise any much more in value. They're still not beat up, but they're old commuter cars, okay? They don't see the most loving and gentle care that other cars do. But this vehicle platform, these Hondas, if you want something smooth, just buy all the parts from the dealer. Buy factory parts. And even everything you've seen in my series, if you still do want to go budget and have newer parts but aftermarket quality, possibly, do it. Like, it's fine. This car's still okay. But until you don't know the exact source of any sound that your car is or isn't making, don't change any of the original parts. Like, it's kind of tough for me to say because I'm always trying to diagnose stuff and whatnot, but had I not done any arms, any of the struts, that probably would have been the best case scenario for this car. Okay? Just leaving it on original components until they went bad. Now, I watch these things on the market a lot, and okay, I'm not saying leave your original stuff on always, because it will fail at some point. Okay? Your shocks will leak, your springs might break, something else could go wrong. Okay? Seals could dry out. So what I'm saying here though is, until those things happen, leave the stock stuff in. That's what I would do. But a lot of these have such high mileage that what I'm saying, like this car, this thing will even show you guys, 238,000 kilometers is nothing for one of these. Nothing. I had one of these before I did YouTube that had, I don't know, 350, 360. The other car right now has 320, the black one. We'll do an update on the black Civic too, the standard transmission one. But yeah, the point here, yeah, I probably tried to make the point a million times, is, okay, yeah, I was talking about the market, all right, and what people are posting. So it all depends on the driver too, how quickly the suspension craps out. But a lot of these around 350, they need everything suspension wise. All right, 350,000 kilometers. So just watch out around that mileage, even 300. I mean, the black one is driven by somebody sometimes who kind of likes to hit potholes. So all that stuff was replaced at a shop. I didn't have the time to do it. And again, even that aftermarket stuff, it's a bit clunky, but it's doing the job. So yeah, and I talked about the car I saw way far away with the Monroe stuff that was just rode like absolute crap. So I'll try to update you guys more on the Civics, but that'll be it for now. Okay, so hopefully you got some decent takeaways, and up next for this car is going to be oil change, tires, and maybe the starter.